read a very interesting book, a Christian theology book, or quite some time ago by Richard Rohr called The Universal Christ. And it said some startling things in there to me for a Christian background book, anyway, for a Vedantic book, child's play, really. But it's this wonderful notion, that I talk about all the time, that all of these incarnations of the divine, whether they were Buddha or Rama or Krishna or Ramakrishna or Jesus, etc., that they are all incarnations or manifestations of the same one. That they when they describe themselves, it's not as a personality in history and time, but rather that whole through egoism, through which God can be clearly seen, that we can get a better understanding of our nature and uh, a way of being that is fulfilling and beautiful. But in this book, he says something quite lovely, Richard Rohr, and I want to read it to you and see if this doesn't sound like what we're saying about this Sanatana Dharma, this religion that includes all religion. And let me just read it to you. History is still waiting for the Christian mind to shift back to what has always been true since the initial creation, which is the only thing that will ever make it a universal or truly Catholic religion. The universal Christ was just too big of an idea, too monumental a shift for most of the first 2,000 years. Humans prefer to see things in anecdotal and historical parts, even when such a view leads to incoherence, alienation, or hopelessness. So this idea of seeing things through anecdotal and historical parts, this has been the reason that each time that the divine has manifested for us, that we've created a new religion out of it. We've boxed it off as a little puddle that was unique to itself. And then the next time the divine manifested, we fenced that off and we created a new religion, a new little puddle of belief around that, and marched on. And now we've got several of these little puddles going on, and we've taught them all to fight with each other and to hold on to this rather vile, egoistic idea that they are the only one or they are the only right one, and without any ability to see the irony in that. He goes on, though, it gets better here. He says, every religion, each in its own way, is looking for the gateway, the conduit, the sacrament, the avatar, the finger that points to the moon. We need someone to model and exemplify the journey from physical incarnation through a rather ordinary human existence, through trials and death, and into a universal presence unlimited by space and time, which we call resurrection. Most of us know about Jesus walking the journey, but far fewer know that the Christ is the collective and eternal manifestation of the same, and that the Christ image includes all of us and everything. Paul was overwhelmed by this recognition, and it became the core of his entire message. My hope is that this paradigm shift will become just as obvious to you. So, in this really fantastic way, in the way that Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, and company were showing us that this Sanatana Dharma, this religion, this universal religion, includes all forms of worship. That whether God with form or God without form, and the Vedanta has always included all religions to be components of that single Sanatana Dharma. And we always talk about it like a gem, the Sanatana Dharma, this eternal religion that includes all movement toward the divine, uh, is a single gem. And each facet of that gem is one of the world's religions or traditions. I'm going to stop using the word religions in plural because I just don't believe religion is plural. I also believe that religion and life are synonyms, and that if we live a conscious and aware life with honesty within, that life itself teaches us the scripture. After all, the scripture was condensed from this eternal moment, this moment that has no beginning and no end. And so to see from the Christian perspective, for the Christian segment of the Sanatana Dharma, we see this same recognition developing and coming forward. and calling it Christ consciousness, making Christ an office and Jesus just one of the instances of that Christ office. And I don't think it's too big of a stretch, although I imagine a lot of people would get riled up at the idea of including Buddha as being an occupier of this universal Christ office, and Ramakrishna and Krishna and Chaitanya, and all of these great manifestations of an egoless perspective of God coming through time. So my prayer is with Richard's prayer there, that all religions might understand that we are all a facet of a singular religion, and that we might use each other's scriptures and use each other's saints and use each other's messages to deepen and enrich and inform our own traditions. And instead of fighting like stupid children all the time about who's right, and actually embodying the very destructiveness of ego into the core of our religion, what a great and horrible misunderstanding. So I'm very excited about this and hoping that this is as it seems, where this unity is going to come up out of the ground and become inculcated in each of the world's traditions, and at some point will come out of our stupor of egoism and look around and call each other brother and sister at last, and find a unity of looking for the good in each other and fanning that flame.